Alright everybody, and welcome back to my channel. And today I got a special holiday house for you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the brand new 2023 Lemax Antique and Gift Shop. Let's get into it.
Bring in the holidays. You're watching Villages and More.
Okay, so before we get started here, I just want to give you a heads up. This is going to be a ultra long video, so if you're interested in just knowing about the facts of the house, you're going to want to skip ahead, or if you just want to see this thing in all of its glory, go ahead and just skip ahead because we have so much to cover other than just the house itself. So with that said, this is the brand new Antique and Gift Shop, and it is part of the Norman Rockwell series for Lemax. It's actually a partnership, and we're going to get into that now. So first off, Norman Rockwell is a prolific painter and illustrator from years and years ago. He produced over 4,000 original works in his lifetime, including a very special one called Home for Christmas. Now, Home for Christmas is an absolutely beautiful painting, but the thing is, it's actually based on a real place. So back in 1953, Norman Rockwell moved to Stockbridge, Massachusetts, and his house was actually right adjacent to the Red Lion Inn, all the way on the right side of the painting. You can kind of see it. It's a really small house on the back right side. However, get this, in the Lemax collection, that house of all houses is actually not part of the collection. However, more importantly though, what is included is where his studio was. It was a market at the time, and he had this second floor studio up there where he did lots of paintings. But fun fact about it, I actually talked to the owner of the building, and it is now an Airbnb. That's right, you can Airbnb Norman Rockwell's old studio. So that would be kind of fun. So now back to the painting. It is actually an illustration of Main Street in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. And there are some creative license that was taken with it, like those mountains and stuff in the background are not really there in real life. The actual painting was influenced by, of course, photos of Main Street where he lived, but also Rockwell used photos of like snow-draped mountains from Vermont and Switzerland for the background, and even some prints of like Siberian winter scenes. And he even went as far as like using catalogs from Sears, believe it or not, for inspiration. So in closing, you can actually still go visit the original art piece at the Norman Rockwell Museum. Of course, it's in Stockbridge, Massachusetts, but if you're out there, they built a beautiful museum. The original one, I think, was at the house for a while that he actually lived in there on the right side of the canvas, but it has since moved a long time ago to this new place. It's apparently huge and stunning, so if you're ever out there, visit it. I would love to, and I did reach out to them to get some information for this video, and they were beyond helpful, absolutely amazing to speak with, and they were so informative. They knew their stuff, and it just excites you to hear them talk about this kind of stuff. So if you're ever out there, go down there, see this canvas in real life. I mean, it'll blow your mind how accurate this collection is to the real thing. Okay, so that is some history on Norman Rockwell. There is obviously so much more. You could do video after video on everything he's ever done in his life, but for now, I think that brings us to the moment we've all been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lemax Antique and Gift Shop. Here we go, starting with the facts. It was released, of course, in 2023, and the SKU number off the top is 15806. Now for some dimensions. Prepare yourself. We have 10.24 inches high, 9.76 inches wide, and 7.01 inches in depth. Product type, lighted building, and it is made of poly resin. Now let's talk power. You have two options. You can use 3 AA batteries, or you can use a standard 4.5 volt DC adapter, but get this, it's included. Yes, even though it's batteries, we're actually getting a power supply with it. Most of the time you do not. It's just a battery option, and you have the option for the power, but the actual adapter isn't included in this case. Again, the power is included even though you have the battery option, and it draws about 100 milliamps in case you were wondering. Now for your switch, it is located on the back right side of the house. It is a simple on and off switch, and there's absolutely no soundtrack. Now let's talk price. This unit is going for about $151.19 at eHobby. There was a couple other retailers that were selling it for a little bit more, but you know, with shipping and everything, they're probably similar. But I did see somebody selling it on eBay already for $285 Do not be the person that gets taken for that. Definitely buy it new from a retailer. It will be so much cheaper. However, if you're that hardcore collector out there and you want to go that extra mile, you can actually buy any of the houses from the Rockwell collection directly from the museum store online or in person. But here's the cool part. Not only do you get to say you actually got the house from the actual place, even better, you get to help out the museum, and they do so much to keep his name and spirit and paintings alive. So if you can, I think it's literally a couple dollar difference. Basically have a little piece of history. As for the weight, this thing is like 5 pounds. So keep that in mind. It is heavy and it is large. It's going to take up a big footprint in your village, but come on, it's beautiful. Okay, so that about wraps up all of the facts. Now it's time we take a closer look. So as we get started here, there is obviously something very different about this house in the packaging, as you're going to see now. I'm assuming it's like this for the whole collection, but I only actually have this one. But for the sake of the video, we'll assume that it is. Just the box alone, the inside is completely different. It has a beautiful Christmas-like design. It just feels like warm, classic Christmas. And then on top of that, even there's a box in the box. That's right, 2 boxes. Now look at this thing. It is, again, completely different packaging with even like this like string thing on it to kind of close it up. And when you open this thing, my God, it's beautiful packaging. I don't know how else to chalk this up. Comes with like a pamphlet and directions and all that kind of stuff, all the normal things, but it just is different. I don't know how else to tell you. The opening experience of this house is what I wish all opening experiences were like for Lemax houses. And to top it all off, there is a bow on the house. Yes, a Lemax ribbon bow. Absolutely adorable. I even think that some folks are probably going to leave it on. My wife did want to leave it on, but for the sake of the video, I ended up having to pull it off. But who knows? Maybe we'll put it back on. Okay, so that is the ultimate packaging experience. Shout out Lemax. Shout out Norman Rockwell. All right. Here we go. The house itself, starting from the top, look at this roof. The detail in the roof shingles is fantastic. The mold is just really, really clean. My favorite part is definitely the chimneys though. The red brick color on this, I don't know what shade they use, but it is like ultra authentic chimney red. Just fantastic. There is 2 of them and even some snow on the roof. Almost kind of feels kind of like a shout out to like the original Santa Claus kind of roof. I don't know if y'all seen that movie. You probably have, but it just, I don't know, for some reason, it just kind of takes me back to that kind of roof. Anyways, absolutely fantastic. And the snow is this pure fluffy white that you just want to roll in. Now moving on to the 3rd story, there is again so much to see, starting with the center window. It even has like these little like curtain looking, well, they're stickers, I'm sure, but it's just a little accent of red in those curtains, just kind of spices things up. And there's 4 windows there with even some trim. I mean, this is really authentic compared to the real thing. They dove in on how to make this as realistic as possible. Again, there's some wonderful, wonderful shingle work there. I don't know what the proper term would be for that. There's also on the right side this beautiful like stained glass style window, kind of. Again, I think it's a sticker, but nonetheless, it adds a lot of color to the house. And there's even some trim around that as well. And to top it all off, there is even this little tiny window at the very top with a little light right above it. Really just helps kind of bring it all together. Also, I wanted to note there is like this post pillar thing. I don't know what it actually is, but it's some kind of accent piece on the house. Doesn't light up or have any color to it, but it just adds a little dynamic to the overall shape of the house. Now on to the 2nd story. There is a beautiful window there with a Christmas tree and a nutcracker and even like this like teddy bear sitting on some presents. And to top it off, there's a little background back there with some garland and a bow and things like that. Very, very nice centerpiece, and it is lit as well, so at night it's really going to show. I am curious though, in that old market where Norman Rockwell had that studio, I think there is, or at some point they keep a Christmas tree in there to kind of honor him, right in that window there in that 2nd story. And I'm curious if the tree in this house in the 2nd story in a center window is kind of a tribute to that. Anyways, there is a couple other little windows there with the same kind of markings from that window we saw earlier, but other than that, not too much going on, just some trim, things like that. Next up, there is an LED strip there in the dead center that adds so much color to this piece. I love when they do the colored strips. Now, the regular warm strips in a lot of houses, it's okay, but the color ones are just beautiful. Whatever color diodes they're using just are super super like clear and just warm, I guess you could say. That's what it is. They're warm. Okay, next up, there is a few signs on this place. There is antiques, 7 Arts gift shop, and insurance. So a little bit of a multi-purpose building there. Okay, now on to the show itself, starting from left to right. On the antique side, there is again a beautiful scene in there with a snowman and a chest and kind of like antique style stuff, but with a Christmas hint. Also, the windows are fantastic. They have, again, with that markings, those sticker markings, absolutely a great way to tie in the building, and it looks phenomenal. The print on them is just fantastic. Next up, under the 7 Arts gift shop sign is a beautiful entranceway. There has been some awesome entranceways this season for the 23 stuff, and this is no exception, even with the open sign, and a beautiful green, by the way, and the way they have like the doors matted in the windows, I think that's what it's called, matted, just helps bring it to life, believe it or not. Next up, we have another window under the insurance, which is a sleigh with a reindeer and some presents and a Christmas tree, and again, more of that garland and things like that, and of course, the beautiful windows to match. As far as the outside of the bottom story, there is a bunch of beautiful green trim around this place with fantastic molds. I mean, the mold on this particular house here is some of the cleanest work I've seen from Lemax, and their work always is fantastic, but this is like exceptionally clean. As far as the ground itself, there's really nothing else on it. There looks to be like a sidewalk, you know, with a little bit of snow, things like that, kind of a nice little gray color to tie everything in, but the show is definitely the house itself. Now, working to the right side of the building, there is a bunch more windows, including the other side of that colorful stained glass kind of looking one. Now, keep in mind, it's a sticker, not actually stained glass. There is also a little sign down there that says 7 Arts Lane, 44 Main Street offices. The print on that is not amazing, though. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of hard to read, especially the 7 Arts Lane thing. I had to take like 3 takes to really see that, but it's cute. The blue's a little bit different than the rest of the house, but it is there, and I'm guessing that the address on that, the 44 Main Street, is probably real. There is also a little door back there with a little wreath and things like that. The scaling on the door is kind of weird in comparison to the rest of the house, but again, that's kind of such a small detail in comparison to how you would normally be displaying this thing. Working our way to the left side of the house now, there is again more windows and a really nice like green bush, I think it is, with some snow, similar to the old school Dark Haven Lodge, if you remember that. It's the same kind of bush thing, actually on the same side. It was on the right side on that house as well, but this is more actually in the further back. But nonetheless, now to the back of the house. Again, more windows. Gosh, windows are everywhere here. Same thing, green trim, some beautiful molding, and the door on this one is a lot better than that one on the side. The proportion is much better, and it's a very nice kind of subtle thing, but the bricks on the bottom of the house, like the basement or the base of the house, the foundation, I guess it would be, are kind of nice as well. You'll probably never ever pay attention to it, but it's pretty nice. It's smooth, clean, and kind of just adds a slight bit more texture to the overall experience. Okay. So that is the Lemax Antique and Gift Shop house for the 23 season. The history on this one will forever blow me away, but I hope that sharing that with you was somewhat interesting. And if you do like that, maybe we'll kind of pop into history on certain things about villaging and things like that. So let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Also, I want to send the biggest shout out to not only the Museum of Norman Rockwell, who was amazing to work with. They helped me get everything I needed and all the permissions, licenses, all that stuff to be able to bring you this video this way, but also the estate and the representative that I worked with as well. It was such a smooth process, and they were so excited to share this information as much as I am as well. So truly thank you to everybody involved. Other than that, I absolutely adore this house. I think you will truly enjoy it as well. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the lights so you can see this thing in all of its glory. And until next time, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.